So that's right, we got a brand new update that just hit PC for Cyberpunk 2077, and it addresses a big issue that some of you were experiencing, but it also causes new problems. I'm going to talk about how you could work around these problems if you're experiencing new issues after this update. Plus, we're going to be talking about MaxTax and the possibility of seeing DLC centered around them. This would be so cool to see, in my personal opinion. But first of all, we're going to start right here, because after update 1.5, some of the community within Cyberpunk have been experiencing problems on PC and PS4 where it is just crashing constantly, especially if you try to first open up the game. You can't even get into the game. Well, of course, CD Projekt Red was investigating this. As you guys remember in my previous videos, they have been doing things to the back end of Cyberpunk, testing out stuff, and I think this is definitely related to that. But right now we have this release. They found the source of the problem and they released a hotfix for Cyberpunk. It's out on PC. It addresses audio software related crashes on game launch. So it seems like it was a weird audio issue that was preventing people from getting into the game, which is absolutely crazy. Now on the PS4 side of things, we have yet to hear from them regarding them fixing any crashes related to update 1.5, but stay tuned for that one. Now, after hotfix, this new hotfix that was released today, there have been apparently new issues. Check this out right here. This says Cyberpunk 2077 has flatlined. So CD Projekt Red just released a small hotfix to fix the audio issues that wouldn't let people launch the game. Thing is, it was working fine for me before, and now after this hotfix, I can't launch the game. It says the usual, whoa, Cyberpunk has flatlined. I tried removing every mod as well, verifying the integrity of the file, still doesn't work. Anyone else having this issue? And it seems like several people are having some issues getting into Cyberpunk after the hotfix. Now, some really important noteworthy things here. You must make sure that Cyber Engine Tweaks is fully updated. In fact, they released a brand new update today, but also you need to make sure RedScript is also updated. And if that fails, you need to remove the mods and those two scripts in particular as well, and then try launching the game and seeing if it's working for you. And hopefully it should be working for you. But yeah, if you have mods, it's going to cause problems. It seems like the guys behind the mods and the developers that are working on these mods are very talented, and they're very quick, by the way, at getting things fixed, which is wonderful to see. So that's really cool. Now, I got to talk about this one. Of course, MaxTax, as you guys know, one of the most underwhelming features of the game. They really didn't explore this very well, in my opinion, with the full version of Cyberpunk, but it would be so cool to see this as DLC. And it's a big discussion within the community. We have this one right here posted by Own Attorney 7081. He says, V joining MaxTax in the future, open DLC spoiler maybe, Melissa Rory as new contact person. And if we get into this further and we scroll down to the post, he brings up a really good point, because this is very open-ended. He goes on to say the following right here. I killed a cyber psycho, then MaxTax came and took over the case. I got into a conversation with a lady named Melissa Rory who offered me a job at MaxTax. Would it be possible that there will be a MaxTax DLC? A MaxTax itself was not properly introduced since they act on their own. They are not comparable to the police. I could imagine Melissa Rory being a good contact person. Yeah, this is very open-ended, and to me, this would make a lot of sense to explore this in DLC, because also, you guys remember the initial Cyberpunk trailer from like way back when, I think was it in 2013? They showed off MaxTax in a very big way in that trailer. I thought that the game might be centered around that a little bit more, or a lot of it more, I guess you would say. But yeah, I personally think this is one of the paths they should take, definitely with like a big expansion, is to explore MaxTax in its fullest. I would love this. So yeah, let me know if you guys would like to see this in the future, or have like an entire life path centered around MaxTax. Man, that would be really, really cool to see. But also, there's some really cool discoveries. I'll throw these in the link in the description down below as a link. This one comes from Kenny 10 Penny, who says this right here. Check it out. Legendary Armadillo crafting spec 1.5 patch location, and you could see it right here. And this is a really good find. Now, there's a lot of opinions about this because I guess it's also randomized. So you might have to keep reloading and trying to get this, armadillo crafting spec. But it's one of the most sought after crafting specs right now in Cyberpunk post patch 1.5. So that's really cool to see. Also, I guess you have to be through the story for this to end up legendary, by the way. If you're at the beginning of the story, it's going to apparently be common. So you need to be quite a bit of ways through the story for this to end up being a legendary pickup for you. But yeah, try it out. Let me know what you think. It should hopefully appear there. You can go back and rewind the video and pause it if you need to see the location, or go to the Reddit thread in the description below. Now, also, we have this one. I have definitely been thinking about this feature for sure. It's such a simple thing, but it's popped in my mind so many times when playing Cyberpunk recently. It says, just give us the feature to sit on chairs, man. And this comes from Elegant Assassin. It says, if any devs are reading this, honestly, if this was a feature, I could see myself spending way more time in the game. We could sit only in specific locations and not anywhere. There are sofas where you can clearly see NPCs sitting. Just give us the features so we can sit around and enjoy the vista at nightclubs. Also, it would be cool if we could drink whiskey or beer at the bar, since you already have those animations at the new apartments. Honestly, I wish there was at least a mod or something that would improve this. Yeah, there's so many times also during main key story missions where I just want to sit down because the character's already sitting down and there's no option. And it feels so awkward to kind of be in this conversation and be on the outside of it. I guess you would say you're not properly sitting down with that character. So that happened several times during my recent playthrough. And yes, I totally agree. It's such a simple thing, but it definitely, in my opinion, needs to be added to the next patch or something like that. Now, this was really cool. Check this out. This was noted by James UK right here. He says, I know it's a small thing, but I was happy to see a drummer actually being animated correctly. And we scroll down here to the video. Check this out. We have Johnny Silverhand scene, and you could see how amazing the animation is right here for the drummer. I mean, the level of detail in this game, you got to really appreciate it for sure. So they've really gone above and beyond with the, particular details in Cyberpunk, in my opinion. So I had to highlight that one. All right, so now it's time to go over the top comments from my most recent video, which was a really good one. Check it out in the description below or on the channel. It's going to be right there on the channel if I don't add it into the description. I might forget. But check this out. It says, former Cyberpunk devs working on new next-gen Unreal Engine 5 RPG. This is big. And yeah, it's going to be a little bit of time before this releases, of course, but this is a big deal because these are key talented people from CD Projekt Red that are bringing us a brand new dark fantasy RPG, and it looks very interesting to me. And I honestly cannot wait to see what they do with it. Now, let's get into your comments here. We have this one from MyPlane150 who says, I'm sure this game will be amazing as long as they don't release it 2 years early. Yeah, a little bit of a jab there at Cyberpunk, I see. Tammy says the following. She says, I would love to see a new game plus mode, barbershops and tattoo shops added to the game, as well as auto shops to customize vehicles. CD Projekt Red needs to do a complete overhaul of the life paths, or lack thereof, system for it to actually matter, and I don't see how that's really feasible with how they've already written be basically a street kid throughout the entire game. Yeah, again, I'm just gonna say it, don't hold your breath when it comes to them modifying life paths, adding anything new there. I think if they're gonna do anything, they would restart with a new character through DLC or an expansion, or with, of course, Cyberpunk as a sequel, Cyberpunk 2. So we'll see. Then we have Marco who says, imagine this. You're driving around a night city, you stop at a red light, and 3 seconds later, the Quadra Type 5 stops right next to you, and the guy revs up the engine. He wants to race you. You see a pop-up message on screen. This sounds like Midnight Club to me. He says you see a message pop up on screen asking if you want to accept or decline the race. I love this idea. Once you accept it, the map pops up, letting you choose among 3 randomly generated spots for the finish line. You pick one of them, and it's now set as a route in your mini map. Now you can press gas, but your engine is just revving up because the light is still red. The race starts, and you've already leading just after driving for a couple blocks, but later you drive past a couple NCPD cars on the side of the road, and the real fun has just begun. You still need to make your way to the finish line, but cops are making it a lot harder. You managed to win the race by a little, but cops are still chasing you. You can try to drive away, but you decide to fire your gun at one of them instead. Your wanted level instantly goes up by 3. You start hearing more cops in the distance. Good luck, samurai. I love this idea. This sounds more like a racing game, of course. But man, that would be so cool to see them add this into the game. I remember, you know, Sleeping Dogs. I don't know if you guys remember that open world game. They had quite a bit of racing missions in the game, and there's several open world games more recently in the past couple of years that have just dropped the ball with that sort of thing in their open world. And it's just been kind of shocking. Like, how do you not include that throughout the open world? Yeah, so I love this idea. I love the idea also of cops getting involved during mid-race. I think that would be really cool to see. Now we have Joshua Morgan, who says this right here: I would love to see a greater diversity in weapons and clothing. I know that right now, first-person only mode, it doesn't really matter that I can't see it, but from a role-playing standpoint, I would love more gang-related clothing, especially from the mocks. Yeah, it would be cool if, you know, factions really mattered more in this game when it comes to actual gameplay, mechanics, and stuff like that. I see what you're saying there. Clovis Redeemer says, I'm sure Rebel Wolves will do great, but we won't see their game for 5 to 8 years. It's going to take quite some time. Absolutely. So, yeah, it's quite a bit of ways away. We only have concept art for what they're working on, and they're still building their team. And I noticed, I can't remember, I don't see the comment here, but I saw some comments about how, hey, they're wanting to be like 150 to 300 people. That's not the case. They said they want to remain a small independent team. And some people are like, that's impossible. You can't make games with just like 30, 40 people. Well, you know, look at No Man's Sky. They're still a very small team, and they pulled off the absolute impossible. So I think right now the gaming industry in terms of development process is changing quite a bit. Perhaps in some regards, it's becoming easier to make games, especially with the tools that these guys are creating. So yeah, maybe they have some sort of new tool set that they are currently working on to make the game process, or the development process, excuse me, much easier. We'll have to wait, find out, and see if it's really a 5 to 8 year wait time. Hopefully it's not that extensive, but you never know. It seems like they're going after a huge next-gen AAA type experience. So yeah, that takes a lot of time, especially with how competitive it is in the industry. But there it is, the latest happenings around Cyberpunk and open world gaming goodness. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Smack that like button if you did. And yeah, I will see you guys next time. Take care.